Chongs.
Hello.
Hi.
Hi. Hey, everybody out there. We are so excited to be joined by President Dr. Chong today here on our February's episode of Conversations With. And so welcome, Dr. Chong.
Good to be with both of you.
Thank you. The one, the only. It's so meaningful that we get to share this time with you and learn more about your story and what financial aid has meant to you in your tenure here as the administrator and leader of our community, but also a parent, a student, and we're so excited to learn about that. But before we jump into that, I want to just welcome all of our friends here to the spring semester. We are all we're in here full throttle, aren't we?
Yes, now it's going to be a month in, about a month in. So, it's all that catching up with everything that needs to get done.
We're so excited. I've noticed that the parking lots are quite full, and that's always a good sign, isn't it?
Yes,
Absolutely.
It's exciting to have more students here on campus again.
Yeah. Well, let's just jump into it. So, Dr. Chong, will you tell us about what financial aid has meant to you?
Well, first of all, thank you both, Lauren and Drina, for welcoming me. I want to appreciate the great work that the Financial Aid Office does, and also want to congratulate Rachel Kutcher to be our permanent Director of Financial Aid Services. She's been such a dedicated servant and leader at the college, and I've so enjoyed working with her and with all of you. So for me personally, it goes back to when I was a high schooler trying to go to college. I was a first generation high school student. My mom raised 5 kids, and she never went to college, never went to high school, and so we were struggling in some ways. And if it wasn't for the financial aid I received and the offer that I received from UC Berkeley, I wouldn't have been able to go to college. So to grow up in New York City, which I did, and to come all the way across the country to UC Berkeley, it required financial aid. And I received financial aid in a number of ways. First of all, unfortunately, my dad died when I was 5 years old. So he was a veteran and he served. So some of the veterans benefits as a child of a veteran I received helped me immensely in going to college, and those checks were very, very helpful to pay for school and housing and food. Yeah. And I also received Social Security benefits as a survivor, right, and a dependent. And so those were mainly the two areas that the Veterans Administration and Social Security Administration provided support for me as a college student. And then I received a scholarship from UC Berkeley for I think it was called the President's Undergraduate Fellowship for students, and that was very helpful. And also part of work study program, I refereed a basketball games, mural games at Harmon Gymnasium. So you put all those things together, working part-time while going to school, through work study, receiving help from federal agencies and from the state. It meant the world in terms of going to college. And then you fast forward to my graduate studies. I did pursue my graduate and master's at Harvard University's John F. Kennedy School of Government. And I took advantage of the loan. It was a subsidized student loan, and I borrowed money to pay for my tuition to Harvard, which is very expensive. It's a private university, as everybody knows. And then when I went to get my doctorate, I received another fellowship to get my doctorate. And so all along the way, from college, undergraduate, to master's, to doctorate, I relied on some sort of financial aid in order to get me through. And it's something that I haven't never forgotten. And I realized on a personal level how important it was for me to take advantage of financial aid. And when I became a dean and over student services at City College of San Francisco, I really got to know the financial aid system inside out. And so I saw how there were thousands of Frank Chongs that were out there who
Yeah.
needed help to get through to college. And I tell students and family friends and first generation college goers, don't ever think that you can't afford to go to college. I tell them you cannot afford not to go to college, and don't let finances get in your way, because throughout the state and our foundation, raising private money and the federal aid programs, you will be supported all the way through, And so, to answer your question, I have a student have been a benefactor of financial aid, and I tell other students that because I did come from a family of limited means. And then as a parent, I have two daughters who both have gone to college, and one went to University of San Francisco, one other went to NYU, and I make a good salary, but I also needed some help and took some loans out that was offered to me at very low interest in order to help ease the pain, as they say, for paying my daughter's tuition, and some of my daughters did work study as well. So I think as a parent, as a student, I benefited all along with financial aid. And quite honestly, I know the FAFSA is not the easiest form to fill out. Even when I had to fill it out, I needed some help. So I had to call Chris Scheer sometimes for a cheat sheet and had to answer the FAFSA, who is our former director of financial aid. So I would say, that's why financial aid is so important, because it's benefited me personally, my family, and it actually helped me get to where I am today. I would not have been able to get a bachelor's, master's, and a doctorate without the help of financial aid. So thanks for asking.
Oh, wow, that's so amazing and so inspiring.
That's the first time I've told this story to anybody, so nobody's ever asked. So.
Thank you so much for sharing. I feel very special.
That feels emotional.
Yeah, I think it's great because also as a first generation student, it's really nice to know that maybe someday I can, if I wanted to, become a president of a college.
Sure.
And I think the other thing that's also really important is that it's okay to take loans out sometimes. Mm-hmm. It's for your education. I think the free money is great, but I myself, as a returning student, I have to go through the means of taking out loans, but I know that in the long run, it's going to benefit me to be able to continue with my education.
Yeah, no.
I can also imagine, the sense of, I feel your gratitude, but also I imagine, you are due a sense of pride, because I imagine that you've also, kind of lived a legacy for your parents. It sounds like they worked really hard for you to, be able to get to this point in your life. And I think that's always what's so compelling about the student's experience, is because it's meaningful on so many different levels. Yeah.
So certainly college was, a game changer for my career trajectory, and for my parents, who are immigrants who worked hard, as many of our students are immigrant families, or even not immigrant, working class families. It's hard. It's hard with inflation. It's hard with gas prices. It's hard with food, and now housing. So it was much easier back then, I like to tell people, but it's still challenging. So I think I really commend students for being courageous and trying to navigate all the complexities of going to college. It's not always user-friendly, for sure. So I take pride in our financial aid office being user-friendly and customer-friendly, and really driven with a mission to try to make sure that our students take advantage of all the programs that they don't know about. It's complex for a reason. And when I worked in Washington, D.C. for President Obama in the U.S. Department of Education, it was really important for President Obama and Arnie Duncan, our Secretary of Education, to make sure that financial aid programs, particularly the Pell Grant, which we had the most control over, would not get cut. And this was 10, 12 years ago during the recession. And I remember very distinctly when I first started at the U.S. Department of Education, them telling us that during the recession, every cabinet department was cut except education. we were the only department that received a slight increase. So I think when you make education a priority, as the President of the United States does, who also lived on financial aid, and people like myself, we know how much difference it makes in whether you end up having a job which doesn't pay well, or a career where you could have a sustainable wage, raise a family, and also then pay it forward and give back. So I'm very, very passionate about financial aid in college and the value of college, because oftentimes college gets a question today is about, really going to get a better job? I have friends who go to college and now they're working at Starbucks. Well, college isn't a guarantee for financial success, but I tell you, the statistics will bear out that students who go get a college degree, whether it's an AA or a BA, will earn in their lifetime an average of $1 million more, than one with just a high school diploma. There's always going to be people like Bill Gates, or Mark Zuckerberg, who didn't finish college, but how many of them are out there, right? So I would say don't let expenses get in the way of getting a college education, particularly in a California community college where the cost of an education is really affordable and the quality of the education at the JC is unparalleled. So you're going to get great education at an affordable price. And then you have a financial aid office where you have the Doyle Scholarship, which very few, if any, colleges that I know of, and I was overseeing 1,300 community colleges around the nation, never heard of the Doyle. It's that unique. So I would say that we at SRJC, between the Doyle and I think over $4 to $5 million that are raised by our foundation, it just shows our community is cheerleading the next generation to go to college. So please take advantage of all the generosity of our community.
Yeah, and then to all of our new coming students who are first-time college students who want to take full-time classes, there's the AB19, the SRJC for free, that they can be taking advantage of as well. So yeah, there is a lot of great opportunities just by filling out one application. So I think that, yeah, it's just sometimes, like, me and Lauren always go back in all of our episodes. It's just the asking the questions where it always starts, like asking any question and getting an answer, or getting the help that we can help you. We're here to support, whether it is to answer questions, to fill out the application, to do the follow-up if there's any verification that needs to be done for some of the
students. Map out the future, and to map out the future, what it means, what it looks like to transfer to a four-year college, and how does it transfer, and what's available after this. And it is complex, but that's our commitment to our students. We are empowering our students to continue their studies and to grow within the community. And so that means that there's going to be an impact on their financial aid. So we're eager to work with our students on that. And you mentioned the Pell Grant and your time in Washington, D.C. And I think I might have joined financial aid, the field of financial aid, right around that time, maybe 2010 or so. And what's so exciting is that I remember this. I remember all the cuts, but then seeing that the Department of Ed was still somehow able to, the government was still giving funding. But the Pell Grant now for next year, it's increasing almost to $7,500 a year. Yeah. And that's extraordinary. So, when we talk about our students who get to have their classes paid for, their free tuition, that means $7,500 on top of that potentially, and a Doyle scholarship of $1,200 or more.
And so Pell Grants on top of that if they qualify, so there's definitely.
And foundation scholarships. So with that, I'll mention that our foundation scholarship application is open right now.
Great.
It closes on March 2nd. So by the time this airs, students know that you've still got several weeks left to apply. We are ready and waiting and eager, just riding on everyone's heels to get them to complete their application. 87% of our students who apply have received at least one scholarship. What's astounding about that is obviously 87%, that's the majority of our applicants, but also at least one. That means many of these students are receiving 2, 3, 4 of these scholarships.
Wow, that's wonderful.
It is. It's incredible, and it's just it gives me goosebumps. It makes me.
And the application is easy as well. That one, I could say that the way it's been broken down to just answer specific questions, I feel like it's been made easy so our students can feel more encouraged to apply for it.
Yeah. And in terms of the rest of this month, February is Financial Aid Awareness Month, so we are not only sharing our excitement now, but we are eagerly welcoming students to open drop-in workshops throughout the month of February and March to complete their FAFSA, their DREAM application, and their scholarship application. We're also hosting our Financial Aid Fun Fair, the first since 2020. This time it's going to be here in Plover Hall as an open house. We're joined by our community here in Plover Hall, and we are so excited to just fling open the doors, have a party, and celebrate the services, but also our students through it all. So, Dr. Chong, I hope we'll see you there.
Hope so. Yeah.
And we're just so grateful for your time today, your heart, your candor. And then also all that you've given our community. I know your time is winding down here.
Yeah, I'm going to finally graduate.
Congratulations.
Congratulations, yes.
Appreciate it, and it's been a wonderful ride and a journey, and I couldn't think of a better place to spend the latter part of my career than at the JC. And it just, it just brings me joy to see you two who are going places as well, start kind of young in your career to help students and to help reform and make financial aid more accessible to our students, and going out to the high schools and doing outreach in the community, whether it's at community fairs. I see you guys out there, and it's just wonderful, and I appreciate all the good work the office does. And go Bear Cubs, and let's get more of them coming to the JC so they could really experience this extraordinary educational experience. Great facilities, great people. The picture behind me is our residence halls. It's going to be named after Polly O'Meara Doyle, who was the wife of Frank Doyle, and she was quite a leader herself. She was one of the 14 women who helped found the JC back in 1918. So it's fitting that we name this residence hall after one of the founders of the college, and a woman. The Doyle Scholarship has now been approved to provide a housing Doyle, so that students can get, I believe, up to $1,000 in addition to their academics Doyle. If they end up living in our residence halls, they will be given an additional Doyle, and they're still working out the logistics and the procedures. But how exciting that students will be able to live on campus, and with all the housing shortages, to be affordable and to have Wi-Fi. It's furnished, and it's going to feel like you're checking into a Marriott. It's just beautiful. Yeah.
Yes, I'm so excited to see how everything turns out with our housing.
Mm-hmm.
The opportunities are abundant.
Yeah.
So thrilling. Well, thank you again. Thank you for your time, your service.
Yeah. And Gung Hei Fa Choi Sun Nin Phi Lok. Happy New Year, and have a year of prosperity in the year of the rabbit. And look forward to seeing you guys on campus.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Cheers.